Hi guys.
Hi.
I'm
evening.
glad. I'm very excited to be here today to discuss this topic that we have.
What topic?
The topic of proving God's existence without using the Bible.
Mm-hmm.
And so this is usually, they term this whole thing that we're doing apologetics, and that is defending a position, often a religious one, through systematic use of information. And we're not doing anything that is, say, anti what?
Christendom.
Yes, because there are scriptures that support that God can be proven without scripture.
Mm-hmm.
Namely, Psalms 19 verses 1 to 4. Do you have that right, Carla? You can
No,
read that.
help first people.
And let's go over that again. You're using scriptures because?
Just to show the Bible being objective on the position to say, even without these words within these covers, I am out there.
Okay.
You understand?
I get you. No, I get you.
Right. So Psalm 19 verse 1 says, the heavens proclaim the glory of God, and the skies display his craftsmanship. This is the New Living Translation. Day after day they continue to speak. Night after night they make him known. I'll just stop at verse 2 for the sake of time, but you can do it. And I'm reading Romans chapter 1 verses 18 to 20. But God shows his anger from heaven against all sinful, wicked people who suppress the truth by their wickedness. They know the truth about God because he has made it obvious to them. For ever since the world was created, people have seen the earth and sky. Through everything God made, they can clearly see his invisible qualities, his eternal power and divine nature. So they have no excuse for not knowing God.
Mm-hmm.
So we will go into our discussion. Christine, you can start us off.
Oh my, I wasn't prepared. Alright. I basically did a little research and decided to just focus on these three areas that, in my opinion, can kind of shed some light on the topic at hand, that we're trying to prove the existence of God without using the Bible. So the three areas that I focused on or drilled down to is one, the subject of cause, right? Cause is one. The second one that I looked at was design, and the third one was morality, right? So basically, the way I understand this whole issue of cause, or this subject of cause, is it is illogical to suggest that something exists without a cause, right? And that is where the theology, or I should say the theory, pardon my wrong use of words, the theory of evolution becomes a little bit inadequate when it comes down to that, because it can't really explain how anything began, right? Let alone it can't really explain life, if we even put that to the test. So if we consider that everything that exists is coming from a cause or something, then we have to understand that if this earth that we have here, or this universe, exists, it has to be because of a cause, right? The second point, I'm going to touch on cause a little bit later, but design, I found that really interesting, in that DNA and everything, even the simplest life form, to my knowledge, I'm not a scientist, but to my knowledge, even the simplest life form have really sophisticated genetics that help it to exist, basically. Even the simplest of insect, or whatever you take it, right? And to think that that thing exists as a coincidence without somebody really taking time out to design it is, in mathematical terms, a very, very, very high probability, probably amount of zeros to that probability of something so intrinsically designed is probably a trillion or more. I don't know. Very high probability.
That it does not happen.
Yeah, that is by chance that, our DNA structure and everything. There's also the universe, how it is arranged, and we are just the right distance from the sun. We have just enough gases and chemicals to survive. The body is designed in such a way that everything is there balanced to help it go, and everything is just interdependent on something to keep it going. So I'm saying so much coincidences for this whole design of the whole world and everything and the universe. It has to be that some body or something or some being is responsible to say, hey, I'm gonna do this way or do that way. All of this can't be coincidence. In terms of morality, when we look at us as human beings, how do we know what is evil and what is good? Right? Each of us is born with this intrinsic ability, which transcends time, culture, location, country, everything. It don't matter where on the earth you're born. Once you are a human being on this planet Earth, eventually you're going to know or have the feeling of what is right and from what is wrong. So basically, from what I gather from that is that it is highly unlikely that each person can be on the same page with this morality thing without it being coming from one source. For everything to be on the same page, more than likely it emanating from one source. So that's my little idea of it. We can go deeper, but what do you think?
Well,
You can go ahead.
so far, some of my arguments that I have found somewhat support those points. For example, I found the cosmological argument.
Oh, what a big word.
I'm going to say it is the
Break it
same
down for us.
cause. It is the same argument of cause.
Right.
So, what they say, the premise is whatever begins to exist has a cause, right? And they state the universe began to exist, therefore the universe has a cause.
That's right.
Right? How do we know that this premise is accurate? That whatever begins to exist has a cause. We see that happening in real life. It's just a fact of life. We don't see a device being created without a creator.
Yeah.
Children aren't born without progenitors.
Without what?
Parents.
Oh, break that down from it,
Right?
please. Alright, so
Um,
progenitors / parents, same
Yes.
thing.
So,
Okay.
an umbrella is not without somebody creating that. So in life, it's proven that things don't happen without a cause. How much more, as you said, the sophisticated universe to have happened without a cause. And as you said, the mathematical probabilities that this is a chance is just
Extremely high. Probably don't have enough paper to
Unlikely, so
write
unlikely,
down
yeah.
all the
She wouldn't
zeros.
say
Unlikely.
astronomical though.
Oh my god.
whatever. Right, so we agree that that premise is correct, that whatever begins to exist has a cause.
Right.
So the next point is that the universe began to exist. Is where we have to go next. Did the universe have a beginning? Or is it time continuous? Is the past of the universe continuous to infinity? Now you have Einstein had a theory of relativity that people build on. I can't remember all the theories now, I will get in. But they have proven by science, totally unrelated to the Bible, that there is a finite moment of the beginning of the universe. Right? And if there was an infinity, as we understand infinity, a lot of the laws that we exist by would not make any sense. For example, if you have infinity number of things and you take out all the even numbers out of that, you're left with the infinity odd numbers, for example, right? The infinity odd number minus infinity would be what?
Okay. I'm not good at maths. Somebody help me here.
Right? So infinity, and then now if you were to alright, let me save that for next time. But the point is that if the infinity continued as we understand infinity to have no beginning, and no ending, then the mathematical laws that we all know and appreciate would not make any sense, right? So the calculations that have proven that there is an actual finite time when the universe began, so that supports the point that the universe actually began to exist. Now, if the universe actually began to exist, then it follows that its existence was with a cause. The cause of the universe now has to be something. Oh, by the way, I said theory of relativity was supposed to be thermodynamics, right? So, yes. So the third point now, universe has a cause, right? So we know that the universe could not cause itself because nothing creates itself, right? So if something created the universe, it would have had to be spaceless, timeless, immaterial, that means not of matter, powerful, and uncaused. So because, for example, if I am going to make an umbrella, I have to be something more than an umbrella. So I have to be something bigger than what the created thing is, right? So these are the attributes that the thing would have to have that created the world, right? So, and the question had come to me is how you know that the thing has to be uncaused. Because I was saying I see caused things produce things. So, for example, something caused my existence and I can procreate, right? So, it went back to the same thing of infinity. Nothing can go on, can have an infinity to its beginning, right? Because that just threw me off.
Because what, Rachel?
Okay then. While you look for that, well, everything that you guys have both said, I also have. But then that leads us to, because everything that is designed, as you guys say, has to have a designer, and the designer has to be greater than the thing that it has designed, that has been designed. But then, how does that prove that God is the designer? How does that prove that there is a God? Because what we have already put on the table does not refute the Big Bang Theory. So how all of what we have already said.
It does, because the Big Bang Theory, there is no real cause. It's cause in the sense of
it's
bringing
something
an
from
effect.
nothing. Is Big Bang something from nothing? Is that what it's saying?
I really don't. I never did researching on the Big Bang, but from my understanding, some explosion happened.
Right.
Out of nothing.
Oh, right. That brought some primordial life forms that later evolved and became more increasingly specialized until humans, which are supposed to be the most intelligent of them all,
But if we use
appeared out of nothing.
If we use the evolution thing, right? If you say everything has a cause, and if you say something is going to cause that Big Bang, right? Well, what is that thing that caused the Big Bang? It would keep going on and on if everything has a cause, right? then I would think that if something, some laws, or whatever it is that caused the bang, according to evolution, it wouldn't really fit in. I don't know.
So essentially, to me, the Big Bang would have been more of a process than a causative agent, right? So, and then there are still weaknesses, as we have highlighted with the theory of evolution in explaining the beginning of things. And I found this. So, it is impossible to have an infinite regress that is back and back and back in terms of causes. There must be a termination at some point in the finite past, and you end up with a self-existing uncaused cause. If you were able to have actual infinite number of anything, it would lead to all sorts of absurdities. For example, if you had that was what I started explaining before, an infinity number of seconds before this one, you would never get to this one. Because for every second before this one, you would have one before it and before that, etc. to infinity, and it would never get to null.
So basically, everything basically need a start, a beginning.
Yes.
Okay.
Right? So to break down the concept to you in terms of the mathematical equation I was going through, in terms of the mathematical equation that I was going through, right? If you have this set and you subtracted all the odd numbers, right, from the infinite set, it is an infinite number of items. Now you would have left with all the even numbers, which would also be an infinite number of items, right? So that would say infinity minus infinity equal infinity, because you have said that the infinity number of things minus all the odd numbers still left you with infinity number of things, which is not supported by any of our mathematical theories, right? It can just go on and on and on and on. So they confirm that something to have caused Earth cannot be caused, right?
So basically, there must have been someone who existed before all of that, an eternal being then.
That was not caused.
Yes. Okay.
So it itself would have had no beginning, right? And would have been spaceless. So it exists outside the whole thing of matter, outside time, and be just powerful and uncaused.
That sounds like a definition of God.
At least what we have.
Well, I guess you just answered my next question.
Which is what?
Which was going to be, if everything has a cause and has an origin, then what is the origin or the cause of God?
And then one question now, if it is that things, say the Big Bang Theory, and things can be caused just out of nothing, why isn't this happening now? Why aren't things continuing to just be called out of nothing? So why aren't kids just popping up out of nowhere? Things, you know?
You sure that's not happening?
We should check that out.
You know,
Oh
why isn't it still? Why did it decide to stop so that cause things, and have this normal way of coming about?
No, you think? You're asking so much questions.
That is because most of what you guys have said I already have, but don't things have a way of normalizing after a certain period of time? It becomes normal instead of it just continually happening that way every time, or a different way every time.
For example,
looking at just life, no. Looking at us, we fall into a routine, and without even thinking about it, we just operate that way. In the same way, can't things just happen that way because that's the way it's used to happening?
But there are laws governing our operation. even things that become routine to us, there are laws that attribute to that. Whether it is you've been learned to do things a particular way and it becomes a part of your habit, or just biological drives, whatever. So you eat every day because you get hungry, etc., etc. But my thing is, why wasn't that the norm? Why did that not establish itself the norm, that I could be walking on the road and things just, a bomb explode and things start to appear? You understand?
We haven't
Why?
developed there yet.
Why? No, but it clearly
Because
has developed.
eventually human develops, so we haven't reached there as yet.
But following that argument, right, that something can come from nothing, right? Clearly, that is something that would have been established to have existence had I reached to that point where something can come from nothing. So, why isn't that the norm? Why did it normalize? Right? Why did it come or settle into the pattern of, okay, water will produce this buckle, you will have kids, etc., etc. Why did it stop like that? That should be if that is a higher way of operating, why?
I also found that Aristotle, which was a scientist, I don't think he believed much in God. Correct me if I'm wrong. I stand corrected. But he has a similar argument, which is the argument of movement. So basically, the first point is there exists movement in the world, right? The second point is things that move were set in motion by something else, right? The third point is if everything that moves was caused by something else, there would be an infinite chain of causes, as you alluded to the other thing. So basically, the fourth point would be that there must have been something that caused the first movement. Right? And from the third point that would make the first cause cannot cause itself to have been moved. So there must be a root then where everything is springing from.
Right.
It can't be just infinite, say, everything is
Just
moving
happening.
because of a cause and go on and on and on. There must have been some root where everything is stemming from. And basically from the fourth point, there must be an unmoved mover. So that nobody never moved that first thing, but it is an unmoved mover.
Right.
Yeah, that is what
And
Aristotle said.
I get that. And I'm not trying to play devil's advocate.
That's okay.
However,
Yeah, just trying to bring clarity, right?
right.
Yeah.
However, we've established that all of this, the very complexity of human beings or makeup or difference, the fact that Lestine thinks different from me and I think different from Rachel and Lestine look different from any other man. We all think differently, we all look different. The complexity or very fingerprints, no one is the same. So we understand that there has to be this much greater being that created everything. However, like we said before, whatever was created had to be created by something or someone greater than it. Rachel, you mentioned an umbrella. To me and to you, maybe creating an umbrella, easy, cheesy thing. To me, who may not understand certain things, how to get the iron to bend, I didn't know iron could bend, whatever. Maybe to me, that is complex. So could it be that this being or whatever it is that it's not that it's so supreme, it's just that to us, it looks so big because of our limited thinking or because of what we're looking at, what seems complex to us, or anything like what makes us think or believe or feel like this being or whatever it is God.
I think for that same reason, because of the otherness of God. He's nothing like us, more supreme than anything we
An
can.
umbrella is nothing like me.
Yes, and that's why the umbrella serves you and not you
so
serve
I am
the umbrella.
God to the umbrella.
You are you have dominion over the umbrella.
My God.
For you, so
I'm an umbrella
I am
God.
God to the
you have dominion. So the umbrella serves you. Right? So you use it how you choose to use it. If you want to use it to catch the rain, you use it to catch the rain. If you want to use it as a shelter, you use it as a shelter.
Choice is yours.
Right? The umbrella does not say, well, I run the show now. You understand? So I think the part about just the otherness of this being, the fact that it is bigger than anything we can imagine, and clearly the
But
intelligence.
it will be because it's bigger, it's greater than us.
Exactly.
It can't be equal to us. It created us. It must have a mind that is much greater than
and
us.
this is why it is God.
Okay, then. So I guess then the question is, who is God?
Oh my. Who is God?
So that's
We're not gonna ask that today. Not today. We can't discuss that
We can-
today. Can we?
that's for part 2.
That has
Part
to be
three.
for well, I guess from every
Part
discussion,
three.
it will leave you with a question.
Right, for us to answer. But I think there has to be a God, right? And just the fact that it is more superior than us, more superior, more powerful, clearly, and just existing outside of our finite space, outside of time. We cannot even fathom what is outside of time, right? So just that alone is enough to say,
Yeah.
this is God.
Or some external
For even as much as our human minds
can conceive.
can conceive, this is God. This, and on the morality issue that you had touched on before, I found a more moral argument that set the premise that if God does not exist, then objective morality, moral values and duties do not exist. And hence objective moral values but objective moral values and duties do exist. So if they exist, God exists. In discussion of this, the question that came up was, can a person do good without God? And for example, what I saw was a person, an atheist, carrying out an act of good and saying, oh, he did good without God. But the two don't necessarily follow. Because you're an atheist doesn't necessarily prove that, because the question was, can good happen without God? Not if I don't believe in God, because a truth can stand whether or not an individual believes it. Right? So, this is what we go now. If there is no God, what is the objective basis outside of us that has established this law that governs humanity? That there is good and there is evil or bad. Right? So, because we look at, say, for example, gravity, that everything go up, pretty much come down. Right? So, that is outside of us. It is a law, a natural law that governs us, for example. And it's outside of us. No human set that. Right? No human set that principle. So, outside of us, what is that objective thing that has created these rules and guidelines that humanity on a large scale believe that there is right and there is wrong, and if a person does not believe it, it doesn't change the fact that certain things are right and wrong. Right. For example, we have a changing face now, but for example, murder is never viewed as right. Right?
Never been accepted.
Whether you believe in God or not.
Right. You're still going to jail. Whether you believe the actual act of killing a person is wrong.
Right.
So, it stands to reason that something outside of us, which we are saying God, had these principles, and then that results in there being the establishing of this principle of what is good and not. If that never exists, what we would have is a list of preferences of different people, which you saying I should not kill is equal to me saying I like Pepsi. Me liking Pepsi not affect you. You don't have to drink Pepsi, and you don't have to believe that drinking Pepsi is right.
It's a personal preference.
It's subjective to me. It's what I feel is right, what I feel is wrong. Yet, that's not what we see. There's, as I said, there's a changing phase now. But we do not see, that's not the principle that governs the society in anywhere, any pocket of society, anywhere. They may differ, but there's still an objective rule in terms of what is right, what is wrong. So
because morality is universal, that means that what? Again?
That there's an objective point of reference, and that objective point of reference exists outside of us, and it's a case for the existence of God.
Okay. You agree?
Agree.
All right. Final comments?
Final comments? Someone said, if we cannot disprove the existence of God, then God exists.
Maybe. You think?
I think in natural terms, people at least would have to say that it is reasonable to believe that there is a God.
It is reasonable.
Based on science, and maybe we'll have another forum where we can bring more of those to the fore. But science, mathematically, someone have proven that there is this at one stage beginning of everything. So I think they've concluded that it's reasonable to believe that there is a God.
Unmoved mover.
Right.
That caused all the movements.
That's right.
Okay, fair enough. So we can just wrap up. Do you have any closing comments you want to add?
I just said it.
Those were your closing comments?
Yes, that's what you said. You said final
comments.
Oh my God. All right, then. Thanks for sharing with us. This was a good discussion. Should do it again sometime soon.
Yes.
All right.